She likes to say that she works with writers and for writers. Hilda Twongeirwe hails from Kacherere village close to Lake Bunyonyi in Kabale district. It is this village that inspired the art in her.
The first story that I wrote, I think it was more inspired by my village than by the need to write.
She is married with 3 children. While the first 2 have Christian and traditional names, she chose only traditional names for the last-born child. He is called Akampulira Ndyamusi Manta.
God heard my prayer. How will I thank him? How will I ever thank him?
It reminds me of Nachisanze Segawa, one of the writers in the recently launched book Crossroads. She chose too to strictly go traditional.
Amanya gange nze Nachisanze Segawa.
When I first watched Shaka Zulu, you know, and people are being beaten to say names in English, people are being forcefully given English names because somebody is not able to pronounce their Zulu names. So if you're aware of what you are, what you want to be, you don't want that.
If Hilda had a say in her naming, she would have preferred that her parents name her according to how they truly felt at the time. We turn to her writing. I ask her to assess the local readership of books authored by Ugandans.
We print 5,000 copies. I normally look at the number of people in the country, the number of people who can read in English. So 5,000 should be a number that should be taken in a month, you know, or even in a week. But we shall have the 5,000 for a year, 2 years, 3 years.
No doubt it is disappointing. Some people have told her that they do not buy books because they are too expensive. But Hilda does not buy that argument. She thinks the problem is that Ugandans are either unaware or do not appreciate that their own can write books worth reading.
We need the support of Ugandans. The reason Chimamanda is read is that she is being recommended, is that somebody read her and started promoting her.
I point out to her that perhaps only a few Ugandan writers are using all the avenues available to them to grow their names and works. She is one of the female writers that contributed to the new book Crossroads, which discusses topics ranging from religion to sports and moving between quaint rural villages and bustling Kampala. The book was edited by veteran journalist Christopher Conte.
I couldn't write African stories, but I can just coach people and what an editor is he's the voice of the audience. So he says, I'm not quite sure what you mean to say here, and I could do that. That's all I can do. And the other reason, frankly, is that Uganda was so nice to me that I wanted to give it something back.
In the book, the authors weigh their society's rich traditions against changing attitudes about sex, medicine, and women's many roles. They also explore how the virtues of the past can be preserved in a time of unprecedented social change.
The women talk about their tradition and their culture and how it shaped them and what they hope for the future of their culture.
I struggled with my story very much. It's my personal story of an ailment that I had that left me with scars. When the time came and I started writing it, I thought, this is going naked. This is bearing myself too much. But then I realized it's my story and I want to tell it.
Nearly 20 years after she left university, Hilda meets former classmates and friends who ask why she stuck to a career that pays so little.
For me, it's about the passion for the work I do. It's about the love of the work I do.
The Uganda Women Writers Association, FEMRITE, and the African Women Development Bank are now looking at social change.
How do we use the pen to change people, to change attitudes, to change the world?
FEMRITE has a project that runs writers' clubs in schools to help the students start out early writing and also
to build literary activists. We do not have a critical mass of people to move literature to another stage, to move African literature, to move Ugandan literature, to move women's literature to another stage.
Hilda has had some people complain about non-Africans writing African stories. She feels that they wouldn't have to if only the Africans did a lot more in writing their own stories. Josephine Karungi, NTV.